Thank you, Peter. Good afternoon and welcome to the 2022 Spotlight event. This is an annual event that we use to celebrate our joint accomplishments of the past year and explore our themes for the coming year. As a caution against COVID this year, we are doing this event online, although even till last week, we were planning to meet in person. So we're sorry about that. Thank you for joining us. 2021 was an eventful year. While dominated by COVID, we kept up our efforts to institutionalize sustainability across all of Penn State. We have a stellar lineup of speakers today to share what we did in many areas, including strategic planning, finance and business, community outreach, global programs, and student life, among others. You all collectively made it happen. We are so glad to have you with us this afternoon. Before I begin, a couple of administrative tasks. There is a chat button on your screen by way of self-introductions. Please feel free to input in the chat room your name and unit and where you're from. And please use the chat function to interact with each other and ask any questions you may have. Second, all the speakers that are going to follow are my bosses, so I have limited ability to enforce timekeeping. But a time alert will automatically appear in chat 30 seconds before your time is over. Last year, we had 23 speakers in our 60-minute program, and we came in 1 minute under time. Help us maintain that record. Our inaugural speaker today is President Eric Barron. He needs no introduction to you. For the past decade, he's led the university through turbulent times and through multiple crises, including the global climate crisis. And as a climate scientist himself, President Barron has been a keen supporter of sustainability and climate action. I invite President Barron to open our program with his remarks.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and I'm pleased to welcome you to the 2022 Sustainability Spotlight. You know, the second most watched original movie in Netflix history is the comedy Don't Look Up, starring Jennifer Lawrence and Leonardo DiCaprio, whose character was apparently inspired by Michael Mann, one of our faculty members. The actors play two astronomy researchers who are frantically trying to warn the president, played by Meryl Streep, and the world about an approaching comet that will destroy planet Earth. Unfortunately, the researchers' dire message, which gets increasingly strident, can't get any traction due to the ratings-driven news cycle and media indifference and an opportunistic corporate leader and an easily distracted public. Perhaps that sounds familiar. As one tweet succinctly put it, we're in the exact point of climate change where Wile E. Coyote runs off the cliff, but hasn't looked down yet. I'm hopeful that this is changing. The pandemic and the turmoil we've experienced over the past 2 years have been a stark reminder that we live in a global community. What affects one affects all, as we've seen firsthand with the Omicron variant spreading from Southern Africa to the rest of the world in just what seemed like a matter of weeks. Advocates of sustainability have long known we're all living on one connected, fragile planet, and we need to do our part to take care of it. I'm pleased that Penn State has been at the forefront of sustainability leadership for decades. At our university, sustainability is a whole enterprise effort that spans environmental quality and health and well-being, energy security, and economic stability for current and for future generations. And at the core of that effort are Penn Staters who are truly striving for innovative solutions. Many departments, campuses, and units have been engaged with our sustainability work through teaching and research and service. Penn State offers more energy degree program than any other U.S. university, and policy, law, philosophy, and ethics disciplines contribute to our understanding around the science. Our energy research consistently ranks Penn State among the top 10, and we're tied for first nationally with our depth and our breadth. And our outreach enterprise serves every county in Pennsylvania and has a website that hosts tens of millions of page views annually. In addition, Penn State has dozens of unit-level sustainability councils that are doing the day-to-day business of improving our operations. Even units not normally associated with sustainability, such as intercollegiate athletics, are actively engaged. These sustainability councils are creating their own work charters and incorporating sustainability into their units' strategic plans. The Commonwealth campuses have also been key partners in Penn State's overall effort, impacting their campuses and the surrounding communities. Their good work is addressing sustainability challenges at a local level, and they're helping prepare Pennsylvania for a post-pandemic world and adapt in the face of changing climate. We owe our gratitude to the chancellors and council chairs and committee members whose leadership is making this work a success. As many of you know, Penn State's campuses are living laboratories. We've cut our greenhouse gas emissions by 32% since 2005. One of the big achievements this past year was the full draft of the Carbon Emissions Task Force report, which I'm currently studying as our guide as we strive for net zero emissions from our campuses. Dozens of faculty and staff members invested countless hours in developing the recommendations in this report, spearheaded by Tim White and Rob Cooper. We're grateful for their commitment to this task. Partnerships have long been one of Penn State's greatest strengths. Consider that in 2020, Penn State began purchasing renewable electricity generated from 3 light source BP solar farms in Franklin County. As a result, 25% of our university's power over the next 25 years will be provided by what was the largest solar farm in Penn State history, helping us meet our goals of reducing greenhouse gases, regenerating farmland, and supporting Penn State's strategic plan, which places heavy emphasis on the stewardship of our planet's resources. I'm also proud of several other key achievements, including the recent addition of the pollinator and bird garden and the arboretum at Penn State, as well as the expansion and naming of the Dr. Keiko Mia Ross Student Farm at Penn State. And in November, we launched a sustainability dashboard that reports on several key dimensions of our environmental footprint, a significant step forward. If you haven't seen it, I invite you to check it out. These advancements highlight the university's commitment to taking bold and actionable steps forward on the path to sustainability. Our path-breaking research, education, and outreach efforts can serve as a catalyst to accelerate energy transition and net zero emissions for the state and the nation and the world. On behalf of Penn State, thank you to our student body, our faculty, our staff, alumni, donors, and friends who are advancing sustainability at Penn State. Your efforts have collectively improved our impact and bolstered our resilience across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the nation, and the world. Again, thank you for your interest in Penn State and the Sustainability Institute, and I look forward to seeing additional progress as our work unfolds. Thank you.
Thank you, President Barron, for your encouraging words. And that image of Wile E. Coyote is now stuck in my head. But you mentioned in your remarks the important work that is being done as part of the strategic planning at the university. So our next speaker is Daniel Newhart, Assistant Vice Provost, Office of Planning, Assessment, and Institutional Research, OPAIR. For the past 2 years, he has led the university's strategic planning process, and he will share with us now how sustainability is being embedded into the strategic plans across the university. The floor is yours, Daniel.
Thank you so much, Paul. And thank you, Paul and Michelle, for inviting me to speak. And thank you to Sierra and Barbara and the Sustainability Institute for organizing this event. So I'm going to talk shortly about how this institution is uniquely positioned, even with all going on the past 2 years, to move forward in a way few universities can when it comes to sustainability. So starting in 2019, Penn State's strategic plan integrated the UN Sustainable Development Goals, which allowed us to think very broadly about sustainability as an institution. That was embedded in our foundation of ensuring a sustainable future. Units, which include all campuses, colleges, and administrative entities at Penn State, were asked to show how their unit-level strategic plans connected to the larger institutional plan through our foundations and thematic priorities. Doing this connection allows us to see how the unit plans and the institutional plan communicates, how they dialogue, which allows us to measure progress as an institution. So if we search, for instance, across every unit plan at Penn State for words like sustainability, we're seeing there's a great deal of work that units have identified that they plan to do. This work is connected to things like ethics, things like curriculum, education, outreach, research, partnerships. And Sierra, if you could show the word cloud real quick. So this is a word cloud. When you search across every unit plan at Penn State for the word sustainability, you can see that yes, sustainability is present, but you can see connections to words like global, words like community, words like faculty. And we're able to see these things not just as a fancy word cloud, but to draw connections between units, to draw connections between efforts, and perhaps catalyze these efforts and utilize our structure and move forward. So again, this is all unit level data. This allows us to interpret this data at the big picture level and decide where are we going to put our resources where it comes to sustainability? What are we going to do and what are we going to move forward when it comes to sustainability? So across 40 unit plans at Penn State so far, there are 144 objectives that support the foundation of ensuring a sustainable future. And there are 32 units with 96 objectives that support stewarding our planet's resources. Sierra, could you show slide 2? This slide illustrates how these objectives interact. You can see sustainability is on the left, and it interacts with other parts of our plan. It interacts with things, not just stewarding our planet's resources, transforming education, enhancing health, digital innovation, arts and humanities. Sustainability doesn't exist in a vacuum, and it's the structure of our strategic plan that allows for these connections and conversations in spaces and places where maybe sustainability wasn't present or talked about. So Sierra, could you go to the next slide? To zoom out a bit, and of course, this is not confusing at all, right? But this shows how all of our foundations and all of our thematic priorities connect to each other. So for example, the Ensuring a Sustainable Future Foundation relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion. It relates to things like enhancing global engagement, student engagement, access to education. And we're able to zoom in on these data. Again, this is unit plan data. We're able to zoom in on this data and see, okay, yes, they're connecting to the institutional strategic plan, the units, but what are the units actually planning to do? We can see that data. And we also can see who in the units is planning to do these things, right? Who's responsible for these things? So if I wanted to connect or collaborate, I would know exactly who to go to when we connect the dots. So our task as a university is not light. Our task is to figure out what's the best way to catalyze these efforts, catalyze these connections. We're in a very important moment for obvious reasons, but we're also in a very exciting strategic sort of moment where we as a university can, again, maybe do things that other universities can't. Sierra, could you please go away from the slideshow for a moment? So to that end, we've created a feedback and assessment process for unit plans moving forward. This process allows us to identify new directions, collaborations, and synergies across units and across the university. Our assessment process, our feedback process also allows us a way to identify which efforts we might scale up as a university and how these efforts could involve people across the university, across the campuses, the administrative units, and the academic colleges. We could also leverage our tremendous faculty expertise and have the Stewarding Our Planet's Resources Steering Committee, which is made up of faculty, students, and staff, and the executive committee had a crucial role in the feedback for our draft unit plans and our finalized unit plans. Again, we can think about how we apply our cutting edge research, our productive community relationships to advance sustainability, both in Pennsylvania and the world. So I mentioned that there are 40 units that focused on sustainability. One of the beautiful things about our strategic planning process, and I appreciate Provost Jones' leadership here, is that the plan can change over time. So units that maybe I didn't identify connections to sustainability might. And we're so fortunate to have the Sustainability Institute and our strategic planning committees to help them make meaningful connections. A connection between a unit plan and sustainability is not simply checking a box. It's figuring out what is the unit going to do regarding sustainability and how do we make a meaningful connection. So as we move forward, unit planned efforts are becoming more than just words on a page. Units are reporting on their progress on their first year of their strategic plans by the end of next month, right? So units plan to do things related to sustainability. We're going to find out what they actually did very soon. So we can also quickly extract the learnings that might occur from what units have done. If units are experiencing barriers or are trying to figure out what to do regarding sustainability, we can connect people to resources quickly, like the Sustainability Institute. And I'd just like to remind us that our strategic plan title is Our Commitment to Impact. And so the question is, with our annual report process around our strategic plan, how will our commitment to sustainability, ensuring a sustainable future, manifest given unit's first year of their plan implementation? So heading to 2025, we will be able to show the progress we made as an institution towards ensuring a sustainable future and stewarding our planet's resources in a way that makes the contributions of all units visible and creates a solid body of tangible evidence of the work we've done, can learn from, and can celebrate, which is what today's about. We look forward to learning more about after the unit reports are turned in and strategically use these data to move efforts in sustainability forward in tangible ways as a university. So thank you for your time today. And as some of you know, I'm very open to talking about the strategic planning process. If you want to learn more, what units are doing, how you might see data like that, how you might connect to some of the work that's happening. And again, just a shout out and a thanks to our strategic planning committees. I know some of you are on the call today, and without you, the unit plans wouldn't be where they're at with sustainability right now. You provided an excellent foundation from which they can start their implementation. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Daniel. I'm really pleased to note that so many units have embedded sustainability actions into their plans. We are eager to support them in the coming years. Our next speaker is Tracy Huston, Vice President for Outreach. Tracy has been a great friend and an unrelenting supporter of the Sustainability Institute. Her division funds some of our community sustainability outreach activities, and she has more recently lifted sustainability to a whole new level by creating a Sustainability Council. I invite Tracy to share her thoughts.
Well, thank you, Paul, and good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for including me in this event. In our outreach strategic plan, we reaffirm our mission to empower communities and individuals within the Commonwealth and beyond to become resilient, healthy, sustainable, and innovative. Health, sustainability, and innovation do not happen independently, and sustainability is not an isolated endeavor. It is inherent in everything we do in our daily work and personal lives, and across many academic disciplines, and of course, in many of our programmatic units within outreach. 3 of our 6 goals for Penn State outreach include the application of evidence-based content to achieve community well-being, students growing in multicultural awareness, systems thinking, ethical reasoning, professional development, and civic responsibility through engagement activities, and in engaging our academic partners and the communities we serve in mutual learning to address societal problems and opportunities. If you look at our programming that we design and deliver with our academic partners, many of our programs are rooted in elements of sustainability and are evident in the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals, from no poverty to quality education, to affordable and clean energy, to sustainable cities and communities, to peace, justice, and strong institutions, and certainly the need for partnerships for the goals. Here are just a couple of examples of the work that we do that illustrates the broad scope of our sustainability efforts across outreach. Managing Risk in a Changing Climate, the WPSU documentary film that we created under the guidance of the Sustainable Climate Risk Management Network, highlights how decision makers can work with researchers in the community to address the challenges of climate change in and around coastal Louisiana. WPSU worked on a discussion guide to accompany the film, working with faculty from the Earth and Environmental Systems Institute. Students provided valuable tools and resources to the filmmakers for designing additional educational and outreach materials. The project made it possible to expand the use of film to promote community discussions on preparing for and responding to climate change. The Shavers Creek Environmental Center Citizen Science Program is a research and educational tool that engages a broad range of individuals in doing science. Through these projects, children, youth, families, faculty members, students, and staff are engaged in meaningful forms of science learning while also providing local and worldwide biological inventory, long-term monitoring, and research to organizations and researchers. Penn State's City Semester program offers students and community partner opportunities to work together in a positive impact environment for urban communities, both in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. By addressing urban sustainability and resiliency issues, we can make a difference at the local level. In collaboration with the Sustainability Institute, Penn State Center Pittsburgh, for example, hosts the program, which includes a 3-credit urban sustainability course and immersive internships for our students. Over the last 7 semesters, the program has matched 49 students across 18 different majors with 24 community partners. As one community partner noted to us this past year, quote, "We could have never run the Renew PA Works campaign without the Penn State interns taking the helm. They completed individual products for us, individual projects, including creating geographic information system overlays of legislative districts for our installation map, drafting web pages for equity and justice issues related to solar energy, designing LinkedIn and Instagram pages, and researching policies in other states for benchmarking purposes, and much, much more." Well, these are only a few examples of what we do in outreach. And I believe, however, while our efforts have been very good, we do have the opportunity to take our programming efforts to a much higher level for greater strategic impact in Pennsylvania and beyond. So, as Paul mentioned, I am delighted to end my comments by announcing that tomorrow, chaired by Dr. Lucy McLean and Tom Bartnick, the Penn State Outreach Sustainability Council will hold its inaugural meeting with content experts from a broad range of outreach units to begin thinking about a more robust, integrated programmatic strategy that focuses on alignment and coordination, signature initiatives, funding opportunities, ideation, collaboration, and measurement. As we engage partners within the university and outside of the university, our efforts can have far-reaching impact across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and beyond. We're looking forward to kicking off that meeting tomorrow.
Thank you, Tracy. As a land grant institution, our job is to bring the knowledge that we produce in our laboratories and our classrooms into the community. And we couldn't have thought of a better partner than our outreach program to bring sustainability to our community. So thank you for all you're doing. Our next speaker is Raj Bringley, Vice President of Penn State Global, an avid advocate of global sustainability learning. Raj's definition of global learning maps directly onto the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the UN Agenda 2030 and serves as a sustainability framework for us at Penn State. Roger and I have been co-presenting our thoughts on global learning for sustainability to leadership groups. I invite Roger to share his thoughts.
Thank you, Paul. And Sierra, we can go straight on with the slides, but I'd like to commend and congratulate all the faculty, staff, and students at Penn State for your remarkable work around sustainability. Here in Penn State Global, notions of sustainability are central to what we do. We ask ourselves every day, if the Morrill Act of 1862 was written in 2021, what would it require of a globally engaged land-grant university? And we believe it would require that we're actively involved in applied solutions for the grand challenges of this century, and sustainability would be at the forefront of that effort. So we think of that as we think of our structures and our systems and our work. Thank you, Paul, for noting global learning, which is central to our goal 2 here in Penn State Global. You know, 75% of our students will not study abroad. So how do we create globally competent students? How do we develop their awareness, invite them to participate, have an experiential opportunity to become literate and competent in this area? And that's a central area that Paul and I work on together, as well as our goal 3 partnerships, local to global. And central to that idea is the idea that in our local communities, we can experience what it means to work in sustainable ways and develop our sustainable behaviors. We do not have to go halfway around the world. Indeed, and Sierra, if you'll go on to the next slide, please. Just this year, Penn State Global is proud to receive the Forum on Education Abroad Award for advancing the UN SDGs through education abroad. And we believe we received that award because we're creating systems that emphasize education abroad as profound academic and research experience. It's not a trinket. It's not voyeurism. There's got to be a discipline-related reason for sound education abroad. And promoting sustainability is one of those reasons. So we're working very hard at making sure that we're careful with our carbon footprint and that we work towards intentional efforts at sustainability in education abroad. Thanks, Sierra. You can go on to the next slide. And so, in the past year, the Times Higher Education World Global Impact Rankings came out. You can see the 6 SDGs that are featured where we rank in the top 32 in the world. In fact, our overall ranking of global universities in the impact ranking is 32nd across the world, 4th in the United States. And I think that speaks to the incredible effort of the whole institution, as President Barron was remarking to a moment ago. This does take a village. It takes the entire ecosystem. Thank you, Sierra. So 2 quick examples to finish, because I know we like examples. There's examples of our global conservation and the environmental challenges facing the Danube. The Danube is the longest river in Western Europe. It flows into the Black Sea, which, with the exception of one narrow entry and exit point, is essentially an inland sea. The Black Sea is twice the size of all the Great Lakes combined. And yet you get all the nitrous and phosphate runoff from countries such as Germany, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Slovakia, rolling down into the Danube Delta. This is an incredibly important effort that's going on around global conservation here at Penn State at the moment, and we're proud to support the ICUR in that work. And another example is our WEF. The WEF, if you could, Sierra, is our Water Energy Food Nexus. And we run the WEF project in Africa as well as in Central South America. We think working in the Global South is essential to efforts around sustainability. I'm particularly proud of this effort in Colombia because it speaks to the notions of cacao for peace and the work of Ciela Maximova and her colleagues in an area of the world that has seen significant civil war and significant social unrest for decades. It works to the idea of sustainable agriculture, socioeconomic stability, and sociocultural responsiveness. So this is the kind of work that we in Penn State Global support, and we're grateful for all our colleagues across the entire institution, from Beaver to Scranton and from Erie to Abington. Thank you so much to everyone. And Paul, thank you for the Sustainability Institute.
Thank you, Roger. So we've heard a number of speakers, and now for something different, we have a musical performance by our students from the music department. The piece is titled, "The Closest to the Earth Will Burn First." It's composed by Leah Mullen with Megan Nardella as the lead vocalist, featuring Tessa Vendetti on the clarinet, Samuel Rothermel on viola, and Isabella Scotti playing marimba. I'm going to ask Leah Mullen to say a few words about the piece. Leah, are you there?
Yes, hi, thank you. So this piece was developed and informed by research done by the CDC and the UN that suggested that people of color, people living in poverty, and Indigenous peoples are more frequently and more severely affected by climate change than other demographics. So this piece is both a reaction and a call to action in regards to that information. So Sierra, if you can, feel free to play the video.
Thank you, Leah and team, and Professor Baljinder Sekhon of the music department for this really evocative and haunting piece of music. I could hear the glaciers crying. If it was possible, you would like to auction an NFT of this musical piece to raise funds for the oceans and the glaciers. Okay, next, we're going to go back to some more speakers. I invite Nora Van Horn, an inspirational sustainability student here at Penn State, a former intern at the Sustainability Institute, a student leader. She will share her thoughts on the important role that students have in visioning and achieving Penn State sustainability-related goals. Nora, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Paul, and thanks for everyone joining us here today. My name is Nora Van Horn. I'm a fourth-year student at Penn State studying philosophy and Mandarin, but I'm more than that. I'm a student and a young person, and I know as 2021 brought forth a new projected almost 6-degree Fahrenheit projected increase in statewide temperatures that threaten Pennsylvania with new natural disasters and diseases, increased illness and death, that students are concerned. I know that as the plastic crisis has created a reality in which we consume and inhale over 200 plastic bits daily, the weight of a 4x2 Lego brick each year, students are worried. They're worried about their health and their safety. With the looming threat and current devastation of these environmental crises, which are two of just many, we as a university community must answer. Do we want to enable the global environment to further destabilize with every additional 1/10 of a degree that the planet warms, or will we do something? Will we cut our own fossil fuel emissions, educate students on renewable energy sources and interdisciplinary sustainability, and invest in clean energy and jobs? Will we cut our ties with the world's largest plastic polluters? Will we create robust purchasing standards to reduce plastic and reward companies that are doing their part to create sustainable packaging and waste management? Students see the gravity, the urgency of answering these calls to action, and the structural changes required to address them. Students are overwhelmingly asking the university to take the path of boldly tackling environmental issues. Last year, 91% of students who voted in the UPUA election agreed in the referendum that Penn State should divest from fossil fuels. Over 2,000 students signed a petition calling on Penn State to reach a carbon negativity in operations as soon as possible. The Student Fee Board committed $250,000 annually to fund projects that advance environmental sustainability, indicating that they want the university to be investing more money in these types of projects too. Students see a moral imperative and a responsibility for Penn State to step up to the plate and to champion climate solutions, to create robust standards for who we do business with, to educate students for the 21st century. We see this moment as an opportunity for Penn State to fulfill our land grant mission. And as an institution of higher education, we need to enable students to lead, to protect their futures. We must allow students to develop the necessary skills of working through bureaucratic systems, to mend the structural issues by practicing at Penn State, to make our community a leader, so that students can learn to do this as global citizens far beyond our community. A central key part of this opportunity is the necessity of incorporating students, emphasis on students, plural, into institutional decision-making, not just volunteer programs, not just encouraging them to make eco-friendly choices, but empowering them to alter institutional policy and programs. Because students have been leading on environmental issues. They've been demanding more. They've been demanding that we rise to this occasion. And it's time for the institution to listen and to follow. Because by doing this, we know we can live in a future with more, not less. More care, more solutions, a better, safer, more just world. Imagine that. Thank you.
Thank you, Nora. As you can tell, we are not censoring anybody on their speeches. And I know Nora speaks not just for the students of Penn State, but for all young people. More than 50% of the world is under the age of 30. And so the message that Nora is bringing to us is really important, something that the institution should heed. Next, I'm going to invite Sarah Thorndike, Vice President for Finance and Business and Treasurer of the university. She has lifted sustainability to new prominence in her leadership team by inviting a 5-minute review of sustainability activity in every FNB leadership meeting. Thank you, Sarah, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate the opportunity to share information about sustainability within finance and business. I'm going to start with the big picture and share how we've incorporated sustainability goals and implementation into our 2020-2025 Finance and Business Strategic Plan. Then I'll discuss our Sustainability Operations Council and its ongoing work, followed by a few key sustainability initiatives that we have underway. In the 2020-2025 strategic plan for our unit, we have a clear mission that comprises many key areas, including sustainability, support the Penn State community through excellent service and stewardship of the university's human, financial, physical, and environmental resources. And we have 4 goals in our strategic plan: creating organizational resiliency capability in F&B, reimagining the workforce and workplace, advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion, and enhancing organizational excellence. Ultimately, sustainability is emphasized throughout our strategic plan, and especially in the objectives supporting the plan's 1st and 4th goals. Next slide, please. As part of Goal 1, organizational resiliency, we commit to formulating and implementing a proactive strategy for reducing the environmental impact of F&B operations to increase our resilience to climate change, biodiversity loss, and public perception. As part of Goal 4, organizational excellence, we have 2 sustainability-focused objectives: to continue to support the resource optimization initiative and to identify areas of cross-division operational efficiency and sustainability. On the next slide, I'm going to share what we are doing to implement these and other objectives and to support the Penn State's sustainability efforts overall, as established in the university's strategic plan. The Finance and Business Sustainability Operations Council was founded in 2008 to integrate sustainability as a core business strategy that strengthens and accelerates the ability of Penn State Finance and Business and other units to provide quality service. The council has since brought together diverse perspectives and expertise to enhance the sustainability efforts of F&B and those of additional units and groups across the university, including Penn State Athletics, the Smeal College of Business, the University Faculty Senate, and student representatives. Council members have been involved with more than 140 projects and initiatives to advance sustainable operations at Penn State through efforts focused on renewable energy and energy savings, food waste reduction, recycling and waste initiatives, sustainable purchasing strategies, and much, much more. The council is supported by an executive board and the Sustainability Institute, and members include representatives of units ranging from the Office of Physical Plant and Transportation Services to Procurement Services and Penn State IT. Next slide, please. Finance and Business has multiple sustainability-focused initiatives underway that you can read about in more detail on our website. Among them are Penn State and LightSource BP announcing the development of a 70-megawatt solar project in Franklin County that will produce 25% of the university's electricity across all campuses over 25 years. It's the largest solar project in Pennsylvania. The Penn State Waste Stream Task Force was charged with creating fiscally, environmentally, and socially responsible goals and principles to guide the university's procurement, operational, and solid waste management decisions. And Penn State is utilizing LeanPath, a tracking system to reduce food waste on campus. Meal preparers and diners weigh unused food before being disposed of at the dining halls. Then food waste metrics are displayed on monitors at those dining halls. The LeanPath program piloted in the University Park campus's South Food District in January 2019, and in only a few months, food waste was reduced by 30%, saving Penn State over $160,000 and reducing our carbon footprint by the equivalent of more than 5,000 gallons of gas. LeanPath will ultimately be implemented at the Commonwealth campuses and all University Park dining halls. Paul, thank you again for the opportunity to share how finance and business is committed to making Penn State a more sustainable institution. We look forward to continuing our work together to further sustainability at the university.
Thank you, Sarah. You might have noticed in the chat room, there are already suggestions coming for us to do more things in operations in collaboration with the Big Ten. If you look at the buying power of the Big Ten together, we are probably bigger than many individual countries. So there's a lot of work to be done. Thank you for all you're doing. And we come to our last guest speaker for today, which is Nicholas Jones, Executive Vice President and Provost of the university. It is under his guidance that the Sustainability Institute has developed its strategies and activities. He helped lay the foundation for a comprehensive sustainability across all units of the university, and we are grateful to him for his continued support over the years. Nick, the floor is yours.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Paul. You can hear me okay? Yes? Yeah. Good. I had a little audio trouble before. I appreciate the opportunity to share my thoughts with you all about sustainability at Penn State and today's presentations. I have had a little bit of a tough job because my charge was to react to what I heard. So I didn't come in with everything prepared. I had to listen and collect some thoughts on the fly, and I would just share those with you briefly. First, before I do that, though, I would like to thank everyone involved with the Sustainability Institute for putting on this event, and thank all of our presenters and participants for being with us today. You've all shown the breadth and depth of the commitment to sustainability that exists across the entire university. As you heard throughout the remarks today, sustainability goals and implementation are incorporated intimately in the university strategic plan, and there are multiple key initiatives underway. You heard beginning from with President Barron's remarks and the fact that we are now in possession of a report from the Carbon Task Force and contemplating how we can move to implement. But in the category of reacting, I just wanted to share a few thoughts based on the things that I was hearing today. First, I would just say that sustainability exists in the strategic plan for a reason, and it exists as a foundation in the strategic plan for a reason. And that's because, as you're hearing today, sustainability is connected to everything that we do. How connected, you might ask? Well, I actually still enjoy reflecting, thinking back to the fall of 2019 as we were developing the current version of the strategic plan. And there was a lot of discussion among university leadership about the need to have an overarching focus or theme for the next version of the plan that we are now in the process of implementing. And there was a lot of conversation back and forth. And in fact, the word sustainability for a while emerged as that potential Uber theme. In the end, we settled on the word resilience, which of course is intimately related to sustainability foci, and the thinking that went in transitioning from sustainability to resilience, thinking about bouncing back and bouncing forward, all prepared us extraordinarily well for what was hiding just around the corner that we hadn't seen yet, and that was a global pandemic. And the fact that Penn State was already, as an institution, thinking about resilience and thinking about sustainability, I think positioned us well to be able to manage our way through this really serious challenge as few other universities have. Just a couple of other observations I would make. One of the things that is evident as we think about sustainability is its complexity and interconnectedness. Penn State is really remarkable as an institution in its ability to deconstruct these very complex problems and opportunities, and then to research and understand the details of all of those component parts in many, many, many areas. We are a very broad and a very comprehensive institution. But more, Penn State can bring that understanding back together in innovative and creative ways that can have an impact. We do that through our interdisciplinary institutes. We do it through entities like the Sustainability Institute, and you heard a little bit earlier this afternoon from Outreach talking about efforts such as Shavers Creek and some of their programming efforts. You heard from Global Programs about the WEF and the local to global initiative. In other words, these are all opportunities to really pull together all of the great work that is done at the institution and focus it on having an impact. So in Nora's call to action, which was very compelling, she, I think, is talking to the right sort of place. We are a place that can have an impact. We can execute. And we have demonstrated, certainly in the last couple of years, that we are able to get that done. So, just to wrap up, I would say that there are great opportunities ahead for Penn State, and we're committed to them. I think our greatest calling as a land grant institution is to serve our constituencies and to lead. And we have here not just an opportunity to do that, but an imperative with sustainability. And I am really excited about the future for Penn State and the difference that we can make as we bring and integrate this thinking around sustainability into every aspect of university operations. And I for one, look forward to having my sleeves rolled up to make sure that happens. So thank you, Paul. It's great to be here, and congratulations on a successful year and a successful event.
Thank you, Nick. We just heard about different ways in which Penn State is working to institutionalize sustainability, and Nick pointed out the whole of enterprise approach and the interconnectedness of all the elements, and we need to move together as a unit to make this happen. What you have heard today is not the complete set of activities on sustainability. We just picked a few people in leadership who are showing the way. There's a lot more going on. There's going to be a biennial sustainability report in April that will specify in some more detail the range of activities that we are doing. Despite all this work, there is still much more to be done, especially in the topic of climate change, and Nora's call to action is well taken in that context. So in closing, we are at 4:57. I'd like to close with announcing a central theme that will guide our work in 2022, and it is nurturing deep decarbonization. COP26 in November of 2021 focused the world's attention on the urgency and scale of decarbonization challenge facing the world. It was preceded by dozens of scientific reports, some coming out from our own institution documenting record levels of carbon in the Earth's atmosphere. We are currently at 416 parts per million of carbon, continuing to increase. We need to drive carbon down. We need to reduce the amount of carbon being put out, but more importantly, we need to drive carbon down below 300 parts per million. So we need to extract carbon out of the atmosphere where it has been historically. So we are experiencing record destruction by extreme weather events, wildfires in Australia and California, loss of millions of species, melting glaciers, acidifying oceans. To me, what all this says is that the time for debate is over. This is time for action. It is the responsibility of every individual, organization, and community to step up to implementing deep decarbonization in coming years. The Penn State Carbon Emissions Reduction Task Force worked diligently to come up with institutional strategies for decarbonizing the university. We look forward to implementing its recommendations. Additionally, all of us as individual citizens and community members should act in our respective spheres of influence to decarbonize wherever we can. There is no more important task for the coming year. And so we propose deep decarbonization as a theme for our collective educational, operational outreach efforts in the coming year. So this is the end of the formal program. Thanks to the SI team that is behind all the PowerPoint slides and videos and managing the work that is happening over here. Several SI staff are online in case you have any questions or you just want to hang around and chat. Today's slides and our biennial sustainability report will be available at our website soon. Thank you very much for joining and good night. And we just made it 1 minute under 5 o'clock.